Hello, my name is Jitters and welcome back to another episode of Why Everybody Plays, a series of mine where I talk about the most overplayed agents in Valorant. Today I'll be talking about Reyna. Now, there's almost no surprise that Reyna would be a part of this series. She's always been a huge fan favorite pick when it comes to solo queue, and back when the game first came out, you couldn't get into a game without there being at least 3 Reyna mains in every lobby.
Let's run it!
Nowadays she's slightly less played, but not much less. She's had a few nerfs to help bring her down from her previous solo queue glory, but I would argue that she's probably still the second most played duelist in the game after Jett. So let's try to explain why that's the case. But before we talk about the reasons why Reyna's so strong, I first always start by talking about the agent's weaknesses. Unlike Jett, Reyna has much more clearly defined weaknesses that can be exploited more easily. Her first big weakness is that her util doesn't provide much support for her team. Pretty much all of her abilities are designed to be for playing solo besides her flash. We can even compare her to other duelists to see just how much less support she provides for her team. She only has 2 flashes that she can use to help teammates push onto sites, take space, or just peek into an angle. Just last week I made a video talking about Jett, and she has 3 smokes that she can use to help her team. On top of that, she also has her ult which she can use on rounds where someone on your team doesn't have enough money to full buy to buy them a gun and effectively supplement your team's economy. Phoenix has 2 flashes like Reyna, and also has a molly that can be used to slow pushes to allow for your team to rotate, or to stop enemy retakes so that your team can get into good positions on a site. As well as his firewall which can help provide cover for you and your teammates. So when compared to other duelists, it's obvious that she's a much more selfish agent than many of the other agents in the game. Reyna's second big weakness is that she only has access to one ability until she gets a kill or assist. Abilities in Valorant are really supposed to be able to set you up for kills. Whether that's flashing someone holding a corner, smoking off an angle to get a better position, or even pinging someone with a Sova drone or Cypher cam, your utility in Valorant is supposed to help you get an advantage in a gunfight against an enemy. And Reyna really only has her flash. Her other 2 abilities can only be used after she got a kill or assist, which means that you need to either have the aim or use the flash effectively to ensure that you get that kill so that her other 2 abilities can come online. I'd also argue that this in a way makes her abilities weaker than some other similar abilities in the game. And I'm gonna make my point by comparing her heal and invis to 2 other abilities, Phoenix's molly and Jett's dash respectively. With Phoenix's molly, he's able to use it to heal off chip damage from a fight, very similar to Reyna. But there are 2 clear advantages to Phoenix's molly over Reyna's heal. The first one is that Phoenix doesn't need to confirm a kill in order to actually heal himself, where Reyna does. So if you get in a bad spot with Reyna and barely get out, you have to play the rest of the round with low health where Phoenix doesn't. Another advantage that Phoenix's molly has is that he can use it behind cover. One of the worst aspects of Reyna's heal is that you have to keep line of sight with an orb in order to keep getting the healing. A lot of the time that means that you're going to have to stand in the open away from cover in order to do that. On top of that, there's a beam that telegraphs to enemies exactly where you are so that it's easier for them to peek you and line up their shot for a free kill. But to make matters even worse, Phoenix's molly has many other uses besides healing, since it's a molly after all. Aside from healing, you can also use it to slow a push on defense, to get diffusers off of the bomb, or anything else that you'd want a molly for. But what about Reyna's dismiss? Well, dismiss in a lot of ways is kind of like a Jett dash. It serves a very similar purpose in a lot of cases. Both of these abilities can be used to escape sticky situations, or to get a kill and then E away to safety so that enemies can't trade you. The big difference is that Jett is able to take advantage of this escape without the need to actually get a kill first. Jett can hold an off angle, take the first shot, and then dash away, not really needing to worry about if she misses. But Reyna in the same situation needs to hit that shot, otherwise she's a sitting duck. This gives her a very high risk, high reward playstyle. Which is why a Reyna having a good game will feel like a god gamer, and a Reyna having a bad game will feel like they've never played Valorant. On top of her needing a kill before she can invis to safety, the ability also has less versatility than Jett's dash. This is because Jett can also use it as a gap closer and to get onto a site to help make space for her team, where Reyna just can't use dismiss like that. So that's all for her weaknesses. And as you can see, there are definitely a decent amount of cons to playing Reyna, but if that's the case, why she played so much? That's when her strengths come in. The first big strength Reyna has going for her is her low skill floor. I mentioned in my Why Everybody Plays Jett video that the decision making process for Reyna is very simple. You throw out a flash before peeking, hopefully you get a kill, and then either press Q to heal or E to dismiss. And that's pretty much it. I talked about how her E is very similar to Jett E as well, and although you need to get a kill to use it, it's much easier for new players to get a hang of. You press a single button and then have about 3 full seconds to decide where you want to go in order to get to cover. Where something like a Jett dash needs to be decided before you even press the button. There's just a larger room for error when playing an agent like Reyna compared to Jett. Not to mention that while she's ulting, she has barely anything she has to think about. Just think about it. When playing an agent like Jett, you need to think about your smokes, if it's a good idea to updraft and take an aggressive angle, where you plan to dash if you get into a fight. While with Reyna, if you're ulting, you just have to think about getting a kill, and then if you do, you just need to think about if you want to press E. It lets the player playing Reyna just focus on their gunplay. Her dismiss also allows her to play from very unexpected and aggressive angles. There are no bad angles to hold when you're playing Reyna. You can literally stand in the open, and as long as you hit the headshot on the first enemy, you can just dismiss to safety. This is actually a big reason why she's seen some play in the pro scene. It's a very powerful tool of Reyna's to allow her to get easy kills by surprising enemies, but also covers newer players' positioning mistakes, which is why a lot of newer players gravitate towards her. Another big strength of Reyna's is that she's actually a very strong opper. People always focus on Jett when they talk about the op, and they're right, she's definitely the best opper in the game, but Reyna's probably second after her. This is mainly because of her dismiss. The op has a few big weaknesses that players can exploit, but the main one I want to talk about is how it leaves you vulnerable after you take a shot. This is because of the time it takes to fire between shots. With Reyna, if you're able to hit that op shot, you can quickly press E to run away to safety, reposition, and then hold a new angle and try to get another kill. And with 2 charges of her E in a round, you can do this twice to possibly get 2 or even 3 kills in a round with the op relatively safely. And with her ult, there's no limit to how much she can do this. The next big reason for why Reyna has played so much is that she's probably the best agent in the game to use to play for yourself. The thing is, I mentioned earlier that Reyna doesn't really provide a lot of utility to help her team, and that's because a lot of her utility is designed to help herself. She can heal herself with Q and even give herself extra shields, she can dismiss to escape an unfavorable situation, and her ult just gives her a bunch of stats. The thing is, when you play Reyna, who needs things like communication, teamwork, or friendship, when you can just be an unstoppable demon that kills everything and then sucks the life out of her enemies? And her being a strong pick for solo carrying is also tied to my last point, which is that Reyna is one of the best Smurf agents in the game. Remember when I talked about Reyna having a high risk, high reward playstyle? Well, if you have the aim to hit shots consistently, you pretty much have her abilities online all the time. Especially if you're playing in a lower elo than you're normally used to, and your aim is just better than every other player in the lobby. This is why Reyna can sometimes feel so strong in lower elos. If Reyna's abilities were always online, she would probably be the most broken agent in the game. It's the fact that she has to get a kill before she can use them that makes her balanced. Now put a higher rated player into a lower lobby, and they pretty much always have an orb available. This makes Reyna impossible to kill, since she can always get away with her E and can heal off any damage you manage to get on her. Especially when in lower elos, players don't really push together and force Reyna to back off if she does get a kill. Lower elo players don't even peek Reyna when she's healing a lot of the time, and instead wait until she's finished for some reason. Her flash is also very strong in 1v1s because a good Reyna will throw her flash upwards and force you to flick up at it. This does 2 things. It messes up the player's crosshair placement, and it also messes up their bullet spread since they have to shoot a few bullets at it. Not to mention, a lot of the time in lower elos, players don't even shoot the flash, giving the Reyna a bunch of free space. Her kit just makes it very easy for Smurfs, or even just players with better than average aim, to abuse lower elo lobbies. But it's also why playing Reyna in higher elos is not always the best. She becomes a lot more coin flippy when players know how to peek together, and when she does get a 1v1, if the player's aim is about even, you can't really abuse her abilities the same way. But the thing is, even though she's received a lot of nerfs in recent patches and she isn't as much of a hard carry agent as she used to be when she had 4 charges of her orbs, she will probably always be a highly picked agent because of her solo playstyle. Until they release other agents that can play for themselves better than Reyna, people will probably always play her. And even if a better agent comes along, if they're not as easy to pick up as Reyna, I don't think that Reyna mains are going to switch to the new agent. Even when Reyna was considered a lower tier agent around the time when she first came out, people still played her all the time in solo queue. So in my opinion, it doesn't really matter how weak she is. Because of the design of her kit, I think she'll always have a relatively high pick rate. But anyways, that's all I have for this video. Leave a comment letting me know what you thought of it and whether you agree or disagree with any of the points I made. Also, if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe for more Valorant related content.